but then have the plants look like they did. Like,
Right. Yeah, just like a fucking green blob.
yeah. I mean, some of the plants are like really bad, so that doesn't really make any sense. Some people do think it was more than one author, though.
Oh, like maybe each section.
Yeah, yeah, maybe. Or like someone could have authored it, but someone else could have drawn different things or something.
Yeah.
But then the last section also, it gets pretty weird with this. It depicts women bathing, but there's like tubes or like weird positions of them, and like the water is sometimes like green, which like maybe these are like herbal baths. So, like it's green because of the herbs. But like there's like,
Yeah, but what is.
right. There's like tubes and stuff like flowing into weird tubes and like people putting their hands in the tubes and like this is the part where some people are like aliens.
Well, yeah, and it looks like it's coming from a plant or something. Like the water or
Right.
the vine or.
Yeah, it's like
Is it just.
sucking out.
Is it plumbing and water filters?
Yeah, maybe it's like take this plant and filter it so many times and then it dumps it into the bath. Like maybe it's just,
Oh.
but it's still like,
A weird way to draw it.
yeah. And I don't, it just looks really weird. I don't know. I mean, there's like pages of this, so like some of them are weirder than others, but
Yeah, like they're putting their hands in it and they're
right,
putting their feet in it.
right.
But that one's a different plant.
Yeah. Or are these plants or are they like I don't know, that one of them kind of looks like acorn or something.
Yeah, pine cone
Oh
a
yeah,
little bit.
pine cone. That's what I meant. Not an acorn.
But that could also be a flower. Like the
Yeah.
center of You know what it kind of looks like? Do you know what soap ginger looks like?
No. Should I
Look it up
look it
right
up?
now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Soap ginger. Oh. Yeah, it does kind of look like that. Maybe
Like a
it's
lot,
right.
actually.
Yeah, it does. Oh,
Did
so
I just solve it?
yeah, now translate it for us. Yeah, it does kind of, I mean, I'm sure it is like not like kind of maybe a normal thing, but it just the way it's drawn looks very weird. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I
You can
guess
wash
that's
your
their
clothes with
style.
soap ginger.
Oh,
People
okay.
use it, it's like a natural soap.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, maybe that is that. I wonder if one of those flowers is a soap ginger. Because there's like 100 pages of flowers. So, could
I'm
look,
gonna
go
have to
through
look.
those. Yeah, you could go through those and try to identify them. I mean, some of them probably are extinct though, so like that doesn't really help.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so I guess we can get back into the language since that's the mystery part mostly. Okay. Linguists Claire Bauern and Luke Lindman have applied statistical methods to the Voynich manuscript, so they also compared it to other languages and like encodings of languages. And like I don't know, their findings kind of point to it being it could be made up or it could be an actual language. I guess it's kind of I don't, not very helpful, but I guess character sequences and languages are measured using a metric called H2 or second order conditional entropy. So natural languages tend to have an H2 between 3 and 4, but the language in the Voynich manuscript has a more predictable character sequence and an H2 around 2. So that kind of makes it seem like maybe it's not really a real language or a
Right.
constructed language, but I guess at higher levels of organization, the Voynich manuscript displays properties similar to natural languages, like how the words are constructed and stuff. So, like, Bauern dismisses theories that the manuscript is nonsense. Like, she does believe this is actually saying something, we just can't read it. But she did say it's probably either an encoded natural language or the author like constructed a whole language that actually like works.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean authors have done that for like mostly like fictional things, but it is possible.
Right, or if it was like a society of people.
Yeah,
Like if these were healers or something and part of it was them reading this language, like
right, yeah.
a
To keep
secret
it like hidden
society.
or something, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. And it's just lost to time, I guess. But it's kind of weird that there's nothing else that has this. Like it's only this one book.
Well, that survived.
Oh, right.
That got out. That
Yeah.
got leaked.
Yeah, that's true. The other ones could have been burned or destroyed or something. Um, Bowen also concluded that the statistical properties of the manuscript are not consistent with the use of a substitution cipher or a polyalphabetic cipher. So I guess there's other ciphers or something, or other ways to encode it, but she doesn't think it was those two. Um, and she also did say it's possible like many different authors wrote the manuscript, and there's possibly like two different methods of encoding at least one natural language. So like if there's two layers of encoding, then that makes it even harder to translate. So maybe that's why it hasn't been able to be translated yet. And I guess they call them Voynich A and Voynich B. Like I guess you can tell the people who have studied this, I guess, can see that there are two different, like distinct languages.
Oh.
So like that doesn't help.
No.
And I guess like even the most common vocabulary items in each are very different from each other. So like either there's different authors or there were different encoding methods of the language. Because like the Voynich A appears mostly in the herbal parts, and then the B appears in like the bath section. So maybe yeah, there were different authors per section.
Oh.
Um, yeah, or like they could have also constructed their own language using the same symbols, which would make it even harder to be like,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, the overall impression of all the pages is that it was some kind of herbal medicine guide, and maybe just the plants have been destroyed by now or something. And also, though, like some of the plant, or most of the plant drawings, I guess, seem to be a composite. Like it seems to be the roots of one species have been like fastened to the leaves of another with like the flowers from a third. It's like that makes it even like how is that helpful?
Unless it's a recipe.
Right. It could be a recipe. Yeah. I mean that makes it even harder to identify the plants, I guess, but
Right.
like that I was thinking that like maybe it is showing you like take these three and maybe it talks about it in the text next to the plant.
Right, and it wouldn't be that hard to identify because it says exactly what it is.
Right. And just since we can't read it, then we don't know.
Right.
Like that's the frustrating part. Um and yeah, like I said earlier, the astrology played a prominent role in like herb gathering, bloodletting, and like other medical procedures. But also, like, I guess most of the astrological charts remain speculative. Like, people don't really know what it says, besides, like, there's obvious zodiac symbols. And there's one diagram, like, showing the classical planets. So, like, those are pretty obvious, but the other astrological charts, not really even sure, like, what those say or how those help or anything. So, we can get into possible authors. So, like, obviously, there's a lot of theories, but, like, nothing has been confirmed of who wrote this. So, the first possible author is Roger Bacon, who we already talked about a little bit. Um, and he was, like, named as the suspected author in the letter. So, he was a 13th century Franciscan friar and polymath. So, it's kind of like if this was written in the 15th century, then how would he have authored it?
Unless it's a copy.
Right, yeah, unless someone copied it down from his original work or something. But like Voynich took this claim like really seriously and he tried his best to like confirm it was Roger Bacon who authored it, but like he was never able to confirm it before he died. And then another suspected author is Giovanni Fontana, and he was an Italian engineer. And I guess some people say his illustrations slightly resemble the illustrations of the manuscript. So, like, you can look up an illustration of for him, but I have one here for you. But I don't really think it looks that
I do not see the resemblance.
right. I mean, that's the only illustration I could find is like this demon or something. I don't know what's happening.
Also,
But
why would a engineer be writing about
yeah,
medicine?
right. It really doesn't make sense. People just like to float like everyone, I guess.
Me.
Well, I guess
I
though,
love to float a theory.
yeah, just anyone possible. But I guess he was familiar with cryptography and he used it in his books. So like he could have encoded it, but like nothing's found like in his other cryptography, none of this like weird script is in there or anything. So like there's nothing really linking him to that. And then, I mean, some people think Voynich faked the manuscript himself. So, like, he was an antique book stealer, so he would have had the knowledge necessary to, like, make it look legitimate, like, possibly. And also, like, a lost book by Roger Bacon would have been worth a fortune, I guess. I still don't really know who Roger Bacon. I mean, it said
I'm gonna look him up
polymath. Yeah, let's
right
look him
now.
up.
I mean, is he famous? Like,
I guess. Well, an educational reformer who studied math, astronomy, optics, alchemy, and languages. I mean, he has other
wait.
books.
He was known by the scholastic accolade Dr. Mirabilis. So,
Oh, what does that mean?
wait, are we reading the same thing? I just said doctor.
Oh,
And it also said he placed a considerable emphasis on the study of nature through empiricism.
oh, okay. I mean, he wrote books too. I guess he has a philosophy of nature book.
I would like to see his work.
Yeah,
Oh, but his work doesn't look anything like. Well, yeah, no,
right.
not at all.
He has the study of tongues.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. I think just,
Oh, he was into linguistics
yeah,
too.
right. But I don't think
Well,
it was him, really.
yeah, it's not. His pictures don't look right, but maybe he had someone else draw it.
Yeah, I mean, that's possible. He could have had someone else draw. But it just seems kind of like, I mean, if he did author it, then it would have had to, someone would have had to copy it for it to be from the 15th century. So it still wouldn't
Oh,
be an original, I guess. But some people just think Voynich latched on to him because he is like, he had books and it would be like worth a lot if he found this book by him or something. Um, Also, like the letters that had been found with it, like it establishes the existence of a manuscript, but like it doesn't really describe what the manuscript is. So, like, he could have just found the letter and like made up a manuscript that would match it or something. Like, it could have been anything, but like that kind of is debunked because of the radiocarbon dating. Because, like, how would Voynich just have like 240
what if?
pages of this like old
And it
vellum?
was. What if it was literally a stack of white paper in the thing that he got, and he said, "Ooh."
I mean, but that's pretty unlikely for it to be just blank paper from the 15th century, and he found it in
Right.
1912. And then, like, for him to to make it all up
Yeah, it'd be a
and like
lot.
in
That's a
color.
lot.
Yeah, with the